I met Rachel on a dating app a few weeks before Valentine's Day. I wasn't expecting much. I wasn't even looking for anything serious. But something about her profile caught my attention. She had one photo, a candid-looking shot of her sitting by a bonfire, smiling at the camera. No bio, no links to social media. I swiped right. She matched with me instantly. At first, everything seemed normal. She was funny, engaging, asked a lot of questions. She was always the one to start conversations, and her responses came fast, too fast, like she was waiting for me to reply. I ignored the weird feeling in my gut. She was beautiful, after all. By the third night, she suggested we meet in person. "I don't usually do this so soon," she texted, "but you seem different." I didn't question it. We made plans to meet for dinner the night before Valentine's Day. She picked the restaurant, a small, dimly lit Italian place on the edge of town, somewhere I'd never been. When I arrived, Rachel was already sitting at a booth near the back. She was wearing a red dress, her long black hair curled around her shoulders. She looked even better in person, and yet, the moment I sat down across from her, something felt off. It wasn't the way she looked. It was the way she stared at me, like she was memorizing my face. Her eyes never left mine, not even to glance at the menu. "So," she said, folding her hands under her chin, "do you believe in fate?" The same first question my ex had asked me on our first date. I forced a laugh. "That's a weird way to start a conversation." She smiled. "Not really. Some people are just meant to meet. Don't you think?" I wasn't sure how to respond. The rest of the night blurred together. The conversation was easy, too easy. She knew all the right things to say. She liked all the same movies, all the same music. It was like she had studied me. By the time dinner ended, I had convinced myself I was just overthinking it. That's when she leaned in and whispered, "Let's go back to your place." I should have said no. I should have trusted my gut, but I didn't. In the moment I let her step inside my apartment, I knew I had made a mistake. The moment Rachel stepped inside my apartment, I felt it. The air changed. I don't know how to explain it, but everything felt heavier. Like the walls had shifted, like the space around us wasn't the same. She walked in too comfortably, as if she had been here before, her fingers tracing the edge of my coffee table, the bookshelf, the photos on the wall. She wasn't looking around like someone seeing a place for the first time. She was remembering it. I swallowed hard, trying to shake the uneasy feeling creeping up my spine. "You live alone?" she asked, glancing at me over her shoulder. I nodded. She smiled. "I knew you would." I frowned. "What does that mean?" She didn't answer. Instead, she reached for my bookshelf, pulling out a small, leather-bound journal. My stomach dropped. That was mine. My personal journal. The one I kept tucked between old textbooks, where no one would ever think to look. She flipped through the pages. She knew exactly where it was. My voice came out hoarse. "Rachel, how did you know that was there?" She stopped flipping, looked at me, and smiled. The room tilted. Something was wrong. I took a slow step forward, my pulse hammering against my ribs. "Who are you?" She tilted her head, her fingers tapping the leather cover of my journal. Then, in a voice barely above a whisper, she said, "You've met me before." My stomach turned to ice. No, that wasn't possible. I would have remembered her. But before I could say anything, she tossed the journal onto the table and walked toward my bedroom. I didn't stop her. I couldn't. I was frozen, my mind spinning with memories I couldn't quite grasp, like trying to hold onto a dream after waking up. Then I heard it, the closet door creaking open. A sharp spike of panic shot through me. I ran after her, nearly tripping over myself as I reached my bedroom, and stopped dead. Rachel was standing in front of my closet, staring inside. The door was wide open, but that wasn't what made my blood run cold. It was what was inside. A dress, a single red dress, hanging neatly in the center of the otherwise empty closet. A dress that didn't belong to me. A dress that looked exactly like the one Rachel was wearing. I felt like I was going to be sick. I don't understand," I whispered. Rachel reached up and ran her fingers along the fabric, a wistful expression on her face. "It's beautiful, isn't it?" I took a step back, my head swimming. "I've never seen that before," I said. It's not mine. How did it? You kept it, she murmured, cutting me off. Her voice was soft, almost grateful. My breath hitched. I opened my mouth, but I had no words. Nothing made sense. Then, slowly, Rachel turned to face me, and in the dim glow of my bedside lamp, I finally saw her clearly. Her eyes, they weren't blue anymore. They were gray, faded, lifeless, like the color had been drained from them. A shiver crawled up my spine. Rachel, I whispered, what's happening? She took a step closer. You don't remember me, do you? I didn't answer, because something inside me did remember. Something deep in my bones. The way she stared at me, the way she knew everything about me, the way she felt so familiar, like she had been here before. Then, she reached into the closet and pulled something else out. A photo, old, faded. She held it out to me, her expression unreadable. With shaking hands, I took it. I looked down, and my heart stopped. It was a picture of me, but not just me. Me, standing next to Rachel, my arm around her, both of us smiling, like we had been together for years, like we had been in love. But that wasn't possible, because I had never met her before. I staggered backward, my breath coming in short, panicked gasps. No, I croaked. No, this isn't real. Rachel smiled, and for the first time, she looked sad. It was, she said softly. She took another step toward me, and I flinched. She stopped. A flicker of pain crossed her face, but only for a second. Then she smiled again, and whispered, I just wanted one more Valentine's with you. My vision blurred. The walls seemed to bend inward. The air grew thick, suffocating. The room wasn't right anymore. Then, the lights flickered, and Rachel was gone. Just like that. No sound, no movement, just gone. The closet door slowly creaked shut. The apartment felt empty again, like she had never been here, like she had never existed at all. I looked down at my hands. The photo was gone. The red dress in the closet? Gone. The only proof that anything had happened was the smell of her perfume still hanging in the air. I didn't sleep that night, or the next. I sat awake, waiting, staring at my closet door, waiting for it to creak open again. But it never did. Not until February 14th, Valentine's Day, at exactly midnight. I heard a whisper, faint, distant, one more Valentine's. And when I turned toward my closet, the door was open, and inside, hanging neatly on the rail, was the red dress, waiting. I used to love Valentine's Day, not because of the romance, not because of the chocolates or the overpriced dinners, but because for the last 4 years, it's been the one day I feel closest to her. To Emily, the girl I was supposed to spend my life with. The girl who disappeared on Valentine's Day 4 years ago. I still remember the last time I saw her. She was standing by the door of our apartment, putting on her coat, smiling at me as she wrapped her scarf around her neck. I'll be back soon, she had said. Don't go anywhere. She never came home. At first, I wasn't worried. She had probably just gotten caught up somewhere, maybe running a last-minute errand. Then an hour passed. Then 2. Her phone went straight to voicemail. By midnight, my hands were shaking as I dialed her number again and again. By morning, I was calling hospitals, then police stations. By that evening, I was filing a missing persons report. And then, nothing. No witnesses. No CCTV footage. No body. Just gone. The police told me to move on. That maybe she had left on her own. But I knew Emily. She wouldn't do that. She loved me. We had plans. For the first year, I didn't sleep. I didn't eat. I searched, I questioned. I drove down every street she had ever walked, hoping I'd find something, anything. But all I found was silence. And then, a year later, on February 14th, the first letter arrived. A red envelope slipped into my mailbox. No return address. No stamp. Inside, a small note. Miss me? No explanation. No clues. Just those 2 words. The police told me it was a prank. Someone messing with me. I tried to believe them. But the next year, it happened again. And the year after that. And the next. Always the same message. Always on Valentine's Day. No fingerprints. No evidence. Just her handwriting. I never told anyone. What was I supposed to say? That my missing girlfriend was sending me love notes from the void? But this year is different. Because last night, for the first time in 4 years, I saw her. And I think she wants me to follow. I barely slept that night. Every time I closed my eyes, I saw her, standing beneath the streetlight, wrapped in that same coat and scarf she wore the night she disappeared. Her face pale, unmoving, staring right at my window. She had been waiting for me. By the time the sun rose, I was still sitting on my couch, the red envelope resting on the coffee table in front of me. I had received 4 of them since she vanished, all identical, all carrying the same message. Miss me? But this one was different, because this time there was something new inside. A photo. It was blurry, taken in a rush, but I recognized the location instantly. A parking lot. More specifically, the parking lot behind the bookstore Emily used to go to. The last place her phone had pinged before she disappeared. I should have gone straight to the police. I should have burned the letter, tried to forget. But I couldn't, because deep down, I knew. She had come back for a reason, and she was waiting for me to find her. By the time I reached the bookstore, the sun had already set. The streets were quiet, empty except for a few parked cars lining the sidewalk. The store itself was still open, the glow from its windows casting long shadows onto the pavement. But I wasn't here for the bookstore. I was here for the lot behind it. I parked near the back, right where the photo had been taken. At first, everything looked normal. Just an old parking lot, cracked asphalt, faded white lines, a flickering street lamp in the corner. But then, I saw it. A red envelope, sitting in the exact spot from the photo, waiting for me. I stepped out of the car, my breath misting in the cold night air. With shaking hands, I picked up the envelope and slowly peeled it open. Inside was another note. Almost home. My pulse roared in my ears. My hands tightened around the paper, my entire body frozen. Emily's old handwriting. The same curved letters, the same slight smudge on the ink from the way she used to press her fingers against the paper. It was really her. But what did she mean? Almost home. The words churned in my head, twisting into something dark. Was she telling me she was coming back? Or was she telling me to follow? I looked around the empty lot, my skin crawling with the sudden sensation that I wasn't alone. And then, from somewhere in the distance, a whisper. Faint. Come home. The hairs on the back of my neck rose. I turned sharply, scanning the darkness. The bookstore parking lot was empty. The surrounding buildings, silent. But then, at the very edge of the lot, just beyond the reach of the street lamp's glow, I saw her, Emily, standing perfectly still. Her coat and scarf billowed slightly in the wind, but she didn't move. She just watched. I felt my stomach twist into knots. Her face was wrong, too pale. Her lips slightly parted, but I couldn't see her breathe. Her eyes. Something about them wasn't right. They weren't looking at me. They were looking through me. My hands clenched into fists. Emily, I whispered. She didn't respond, didn't blink, didn't move. Just stood there, staring. The wind picked up, howling through the trees, rattling the nearby street signs. I took a slow step forward, and Emily tilted her head. Not gradually, not naturally, but too fast, like something pulling a marionette strings. I stopped cold, my heart slamming against my ribs. This wasn't right. I took a step back, my breath shaking, and Emily took a step forward. I turned, ran to my car. I threw the door open, scrambled inside, and locked it just as I heard. Tap, tap, tap. I squeezed my eyes shut. No, 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 no. I forced myself to look. Emily stood outside my window. Too close, too still. Her hand rested gently against the glass, her fingers pressing against the surface. Her skin was too cold, too lifeless. And then, finally, she spoke. You left me. Her voice was wrong, distant, like it was coming from somewhere else. My throat closed up. I wanted to scream, wanted to beg for forgiveness, but I didn't know what I had done. I hadn't left her. She had left me. The street lamp flickered, and for a split second, in the reflection of the glass, I saw what was really standing outside my car. Not Emily. Not fully. Something taller, thinner. Something wearing her shape like a disguise. Something that wasn't human. The glass cracked. I slammed the car into reverse, tires screeching against the pavement as I sped out of the lot. I didn't stop driving. Didn't check my phone. Didn't look back. Not until I was home, locked inside. Every light in the apartment turned on. My phone buzzed. I almost didn't check it, but I did. A new message. No caller ID. I opened it. A photo of my bedroom window, taken from the street. I dropped the phone. I don't know how long I sat there, shaking. I didn't sleep, didn't eat. By morning, I convinced myself it was over, that whatever had followed me was gone, until I heard a soft fluttering sound, and I turned toward my front door. A red envelope, sitting on my welcome mat. I didn't pick it up. I didn't open it, because I already knew what it would say. Miss me? I don't know what happened that night. I don't know if it was really Emily, or if something else came back in her place. But I know one thing. This wasn't the last letter. And next Valentine's Day, I don't think I'll have a choice. I think I have to follow. I wasn't supposed to be alone on Valentine's Day. That's what made it worse. I had a girlfriend. Had being the key word. We were supposed to celebrate together. Dinner, wine, maybe a movie back at my place. I wasn't the most romantic guy in the world, but I tried. I even made a reservation at some fancy place downtown, which was way out of my budget. But a week before Valentine's, she dumped me. No warning. No long talk about how we'd grown apart. Just a short text that read, "I can't do this anymore. Don't call me." And that was it. I'd be lying if I said it didn't hurt, but honestly, I was more confused than anything. I kept trying to replay every interaction we'd had, looking for signs I'd missed. Was she acting distant? Had I said something wrong? But no matter how much I thought about it, I came up empty. And that's when the text started. Not from her. From a blocked number. The first one came the night she dumped me. "I'm sorry." I almost ignored it. I figured it was a wrong number, but I couldn't shake the feeling that it was meant for me. So, like an idiot, I texted back, "Who is this?" No response. A few days passed. Then another message. "Please don't hate me." At this point, I was convinced it was my ex. Maybe she felt guilty. Maybe she wanted to talk, but was too afraid to use her real number. I responded again. "We can talk. Just tell me why." No response. Then, the night before Valentine's, I got a third message. And this one made my stomach drop. "I miss you. See you soon." I stared at the words for a long time. See you soon? Was she coming over? Was this her way of saying she wanted to talk in person? I should have been relieved. But instead, I felt cold. Something about the way it was worded, the way the messages never answered my questions, never gave any details. It felt wrong. Like it wasn't her at all. But if it wasn't her, then who was it? I didn't sleep that night. I kept staring at the last message on my phone, my mind running in circles. "I miss you. See you soon." I should have blocked the number, should have shut my phone off and ignored it. But I couldn't, because some part of me, some stupid, desperate part, wanted it to be my ex, wanted her to come back, even though I knew, deep down, something was wrong. The next morning, Valentine's Day, I woke up to another message. "Happy Valentine's. Can I come in?" My blood ran cold. Come in? I sat up so fast my vision swam. My apartment was silent, the only sound the faint hum of the heater kicking in. Slowly, I turned toward the front door. Nothing. Then, my phone buzzed again. A photo. I hesitated before opening it. The second I saw what was inside, my hands went numb. It was my front door, taken from outside. Someone was here, had been standing right outside my apartment. I scrambled out of bed, my pulse hammering in my ears. I ran to the peephole, barely able to breathe. Nothing. The hallway was empty. But then, tap, tap, tap. I staggered back. A knock. Soft. Rhythmic. Too slow. Not my ex. Not normal. I held my breath. My entire body locked up. Then, another photo. I forced myself to look. It was a close-up of my peephole, taken from the other side. I dropped my phone. This wasn't her. This was never her. This was something else. Something that had been watching me. I don't remember how long I stood there, frozen in the middle of my apartment, my heartbeat pounding in my skull. By the time I could finally move, the knocking had stopped. The messages had stopped. The hallway was silent, like nothing had ever happened. I wanted to believe it was over. I wanted to pretend, but I knew better. For the next few days, I tried to move on, tried to convince myself I had imagined everything. But things changed. Small things at first. My phone would buzz in the middle of the night, but when I checked, there were no new messages. My apartment felt colder, even when the heater was on. And sometimes, when I passed by my front door, I swore I could smell perfume. Her perfume. The same one my ex always wore. I didn't know what to think. Didn't know if I was losing my mind, or if something else was happening. Then, exactly 1 week later, I woke up to another message. You left the door unlocked. I shot up, gasping for air. No, 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 no. I turned toward my bedroom door. It was open, wide open, but I hadn't left it that way. I had locked it, had locked every door in my apartment before going to bed. I grabbed my phone with shaking hands and typed, "Who are you?" This time, I got a response. Just one word. Come. Then, a new photo. I almost couldn't look, but I had to. I forced my eyes down. It was my living room, taken from inside. I stopped breathing. Someone had been in my apartment. I nearly dropped my phone. My hands were shaking so bad I could barely think. I stumbled out of bed, my pulse roaring in my ears. The apartment was silent, but the air felt wrong, like something was still here. I checked every closet, every cabinet, every dark corner where something could hide. Nothing. The doors were locked, the windows still shut, but I wasn't alone. I knew I wasn't alone. I could feel it, watching, waiting. Then, another text. I'm outside. I turned slowly, my breath caught in my throat. The peephole. There was a shadow behind it, a shape, someone standing right outside my door, waiting. I took a slow step back, my stomach twisting into knots. Then, another knock. Slow, deliberate, almost playful. I squeezed my eyes shut, my whole body trembling. Then, a whisper. Not from outside, not from my phone, from inside the apartment. Behind me, right against my ear. You let me in. The lights flickered, and everything went black. I woke up in my bed. Morning light streamed in through the curtains. The air was warm again. The apartment felt normal. For a split second, I almost believed it had been a dream. Then I turned toward my nightstand and froze. A single red envelope, waiting for me. I didn't touch it, didn't move, but I already knew what it would say. I miss you. And next to it, a photo of me, taken while I was sleeping, from inside the room. I don't stay in one place for long anymore. I don't answer unknown numbers. I keep my doors locked. I sleep with the lights on. But every Valentine's Day, at exactly midnight, I hear a knock. Soft, slow, waiting. And I know one of these years, I won't be able to ignore it, because I already let it in. And one day, it's going to take me back.